I want to propose a question to you. What if the government had to earn our money? So I want you to think about that for yourself as a mental exercise. And what I'm going to do is basically do the mental exercise with you right now and help you see my train of thought on the subject, at least. So, first of all, thank you for even caring enough to want to hear my point of view. And also, you're awesome for caring about the government taking our money. This is a really important topic. It's not fun, it's not sexy, it's not exciting. But as long as we let them do it, they're going to keep on doing it. And we're not just talking about peanuts here. We're talking about a big chunk of our money, and the more that we make, the more that they take. So the more ambitious that you are, the more that you want to make in life, the more you want to do in life, the more important this subject is. So, thanks for taking the time to think about it, and I ask that you think about it with an open mind. See, what's really popular right now is blaming the corporations. And, they're not perfect. But the thing is, a lot of people are thinking, government, good. Corporation, bad. Let me make a distinction between the two. It's not the only one, but it's one that's important for this topic. The difference is companies have to earn your business. The government doesn't have to do anything. They take your money, whether you like it or not. And in fact, the government takes your money from your paycheck. If you're a worker paying W-2, they actually take the money, then you get it. So they get your money before you do. So, yeah, it's pretty much more their money than it is your money, because they decide how much of your money you get to keep. So I want to let that sink in. The government, basically a bunch of people get together and decide how much money you get to keep out of what you earned. So the difference is corporations, you voluntarily give them your money. And the only reason why you would do that is because you value what you're getting more than what you're giving. So you feel like you're gaining in the transaction. And this is a very important distinction. And it's really the foundation of a movement that's just gaining in popularity, and it's called voluntarism, basically voluntary transactions. And that is one of the pillars of freedom. Because if you are being forced to engage in transactions, you're not very free, right? If you don't have freedom to choose how you spend your money, you're not free. And the government takes the chunk of your money that they feel like they can get away with, basically, as much as they can without the people revolting or the people just not having enough money to survive. And then they spend that money how they see fit. And of course, it's at a net loss because they have to make money too. So they have to take $2 from over here to give it to someone over here, because they basically have a cost of doing business. The people that are doing the redistributing of wealth, they have bills. They have to eat, and so they need to get paid. So that person who would be otherwise providing value to the community is now instead just taking money from one person and giving it to another. Not really boosting the standard of living for everyone. It's helping someone at the expense of someone, where voluntary transactions, it's win-win on both sides of the transaction. Otherwise, people wouldn't voluntarily do the transaction. So, what if the government had to earn our money? It's a good question. Good question to ponder. And I would say that they would do a lot better at earning our money. They would be providing more value. If you have a business selling popsicles and everyone by law has to buy one, it doesn't matter what kind of popsicle it is, it doesn't matter how much you're charging, everyone's going to buy one, right? But if you have to rely on voluntary transactions to sell your popsicle, you better have a really good popsicle, or it better be a better value, like maybe cheaper than comparable popsicles in the market. So, by the way, I got a video on how to make homemade popsicles even healthier. Boom, boom. Anyways, that was one of my videos that got no views, but it's good for kids. Don't be buying the store-bought popsicles with artificial colors and stuff like that. Use fruit. And we show you how to make it even healthier than using real fruit. So check that out. Voluntary transactions force people to provide more value to the community, which is what we want. The more people that we have providing value, the higher our standard of living is raised. So, like, you gotta think, if you're sitting there and you're hungry and there are no options because no one is offering you a service to bring you food at your house, well, where's your standard of living? Right there, right? But then if all of a sudden you've got 5 or 10 different offers for different, like now we have Uber Eats and stuff like that, people will actually deliver you food to your door. What if you only had one? It's either sit at home with no food or order from the one company that is in business. Well, the more that other people get in business for delivering food to your house, the more they have to compete with each other, the more that they have to provide the value. They have to provide more value than the next guy, so that way they can earn your business. But government doesn't have to do that. They can take as much of your money as they want. They can do whatever they want with your money. And it kind of doesn't hold them accountable. The free market is like a self-regulating system that keeps it from getting out of hand. If there was one guy selling popsicles for $10 a piece and they're just garbage popsicles, another guy can come along and open up a popsicle stand right next to you, selling them for $5 a piece. And that's still pretty high, so another guy can come after him and sell them for $3 a piece. And that's how consumers get the best deal. But what a government is the monopoly on certain services. Only the government can provide these services, so we pay monopoly prices. And when they have a monopoly, they don't have to give us a good deal or provide a good product, which is exactly the problem, which is what we have. We have a government who is entitled to our money, and therefore we don't get very much for it. I know that's a quick little breakdown of, some things to consider. So, I'll try to keep this video short. That way, a lot of times I go into really long spiels. Let me know if you want me to go more into it. This should have been a longer video. Or let me know if you have other thoughts. What do you think would happen if the government had to actually earn our money by voluntarily making us voluntarily give up our money? And I think that's a really revolutionary concept. What if they actually had to earn our business, to make us want to give them money? They would have to be producing great results. Sometimes people say, oh, well, the government has to force people to pay because they wouldn't voluntarily give it. Well, they voluntarily give it to churches. They voluntarily give money for tips. When they go out there, they get good service, people tip. It's all voluntary. You don't have to tip. If you don't feel like you got the service that you're looking for, that you should have gotten, what if we could do that? What if we could say, government, we're not happy with you. We're not going to pay our taxes this year. Well, guess what? They would be making sure we're happy with them. But because we have to, or not, because they have men with guns that believe what they're doing is right, we don't have to be happy. They're supposed to be serving us, but there's no, they're not required to make sure that we're satisfied with their services. And the way that you do that is you make them voluntarily cough up their money. You know, it's like when you're robbing someone, they're not voluntarily giving you the money. They're doing it because they don't want you to shoot them. And it's the same thing. We're giving up our money because we don't want the government to come after us. We don't want the IRS at our door. And I would imagine that if we were to voluntarily give our tax money to the government, that the government would be much more efficient with the money that we give them. And whatever we give them, that's what their budget would be. They wouldn't be able to just borrow money from some Federal Reserve who creates fake money out of thin air. But because they can, they do, and that's how they finance the wars. Well, if we had to finance the wars, we wouldn't be able to be the police of the whole world. Unless all the people gave enough money. Hey, you know, this is what I want, this money. You know, you could give them $1,000. I want $400 to go towards, you know, war. Call it defense, but the money spent overseas, that's offense. It's the anyway. So, you know, and then we can say I want this much to go towards Medicare or Medicaid or whatever kind of program that you want. I want this to go towards the veterans. You know, just whatever. People being able to choose where their money goes. We do that in every other aspect of our lives, right? We are able to provide food and shelter and clothes and everything. All voluntarily, and it works out good. But for some reason, the government thinks that it knows what to do with our money better than what we do. They just take it and they do whatever they want, and they're not held accountable. But if they had to earn our money, they would be showing us, hey, look, this is how much money we got. This is what we did with it. Maybe if next year you give us more, this is what we could do. You know, we don't even get the chance to vote on what, you know, what's going on. We didn't vote on the war on drugs. You know, we didn't vote. We don't vote on this stuff. They do what they want. They take what they want and they do what they want. And we're supposed to be patriotic by going along with it, but the founding fathers were very skeptical and critical of government and wanted a limited government. And I think that's for a very good reason. And because the educational system seems to just overlook that and not give a balanced view on the whole thing, we're able to go to school for 12 years and not even realize that, hey, you know, 100 years ago, or more than 100 years now, but we didn't have an income tax, you know, and we're not taught to question taxes. And there is a strong argument for taxation being theft. The difference between giving someone something and someone stealing it from you is consent. You know, I will give you this. If you take it against my will, that's theft. Taxation is theft. And when someone's stealing something from you, you have no say-so in what they do with the money. But people want us to believe that they're good, the government is good, and they have to steal money from you so they can do some good with it. Well, you know, yeah. So if someone robs someone for $1,000 and then gives some poor people a few $100, does that make it okay? No. Stealing is stealing regardless, and that is what's going on. Just because some people gain from it, of course, other people lose. And you know, I think that's a radical idea that could change the world if we were to hold governments accountable to the money that we give them to make sure that they're doing what we want them to do with our money. And the only way that we do that is by giving the money voluntarily and say, hey, look, this is what we want. They say, hey, we're going to raise some money for this. Okay, well, if the people want it, then people are going to throw money at it. If they don't, then they won't. And whatever the people give, that's what they have to work with. But this whole inflation is a invisible tax. It's also a form of theft because it steals money from the value of the dollars that you hold. Yeah, I hope this was enlightening, You know, let me know your thoughts below. If you're with me, if you think I'm crazy, let's get a conversation going. And like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.